Good afternoon, listeners, and welcome along to this edition of LiR Confidential on lirmedia.tv. I'm absolutely delighted to have Alice Butler-Short in the studio with us today. As you know, Alice Butler-Short is very much a Republican and living in Virginia. Welcome to the program, Alice.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I am just delighted to be here too and to be able to speak to everyone back home.
And we'll get rid of the cliche now first. It's a long way from Tipperary, where Alice originally is from Cahir in County Tipperary.
Yes.
Correct. And have you still family back in Cahir, Alice?
Oh, I do. Yes, I do. I have, I have two sisters and I have two brothers. Actually, one brother's in Tremor and my other brother, Father Pat Butler. Oh my gosh, I don't know which parish he's in now, but we're very close.
He's somewhere.
He's somewhere. He's somewhere in the Diocese of Waterford and Lismore. I know he has, I think he has three parishes now, whereas, before you had three priests in one parish.
Well, I can just say in the beginning, in your early life, you got married. I was just looking up your bio before we came on air. You got married to a Vietnam vet. What was that like? Chinese American?
No, you got it a little screwed up there, Patrick.
Did I?
When I was very young, I was 18 when I went to London, and 2 years later, I was married to a young man at that time from Hong Kong.
Hong
And
Kong. Sorry, yeah.
yeah, he was interning with a company in East London, an import company, because his father owned a factory and all of the exports went to that company. So when I was 20 years old, I went to Hong Kong with him. I had three children there, three boys.
Three sons,
And
yes.
yes, yes. And then, unfortunately, after 13 years, um, that didn't quite work out. And I moved to Canada. And I was in Canada for 7 years. And then I came here to the States and married my present husband, who is a Vietnam veteran, a retired colonel.
Oh, yes, that's where I got the wires crossed. Now, Alice, it's a long ways from Hong Kong, Canada, America. But in Hong Kong at the time, it was still under British rule when you lived there, was it?
It was, and it was wonderful.
Calmer.
It was a wonderful life in every way, and it was quite a culture shock and quite a change for me to be alone with three little boys in Canada. But fortunately, I have a brother there, and so that helped me. And 7 years later, I came to the U.S. and to marry. I came actually to marry him. I had met him just before I left Hong Kong, and uh, actually the year before I left Hong Kong. So we had not seen each other for 8 years.
Yeah,
So
that must have been,
it's quite a story. It's
yeah,
quite make a great novel.
yeah. Don't forget that. So you have to write that down. And of course, obviously, without getting into any particular detail, your three sons must have done you. You must have been very, very proud the way they turned out.
Very proud. And my their dad is deceased, and I was with him. He came to the States actually, and I was with him when he was dying.
Oh,
I held his hand. Yes. We became very, very good friends. We were both young. He was very young, and he made a
mm,
lot of mistakes. But he was very, very regretful. Actually, all his life, I used to tell him, you have to forgive yourself, and because I have, and so we were good friends. So that was nice, and I never kept the boys from him. They went back to Hong Kong every year for the summer. So that I think was one of the very good things that I did. So many times children become the pawns in situations like that, and they grow up without knowing are having the opportunity to love the other parent. So my boys, grew up spending 3 months in Hong Kong every year, knowing and loving their father, and uh, it's all
It's
all went
certainly
well.
contributed to their lives now. Anyway, as you pointed out, it's very, very important. And all many relationships break down. But as you rightly said, children can become the pawns in these things. But in your case, it had a positive effect because of the continuous relationship they had with both parents.
Well, my last words to David, his name was David,
Yeah.
and my last words to him when he was passing, before he just went into unconsciousness, uh, he was still able to understand and indicate that he heard what I was saying. I said, "Look, David," I said, "God brought us together to bring our three wonderful sons into this life, and we parted to bring them to where they are now. Because had things not happened in the way that they did, my sons would not be where they are now. My eldest son is an active duty Army colonel. My youngest son is a special agent, a DEA agent, that's drug enforcement. And my middle son is a very successful entrepreneur. He manages UFC world champions.
Oh, you
And
say, oh, very good.
yes,
Well
yes,
done
he's
for
been
them.
to Ireland. He's been to Ireland for a fight. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UFC. My son would be very interested in that now. I have a son who's a fanatical UFC follower.
Oh, then he knows Brian Butler. Brian Butler, tell him to look him up, and it's Sucker Punch Entertainment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Uh-huh.
seen it on his computer. He has Sucker Punch Entertainment.
Yes.
Brian
I
Butler
like that.
won for the records now. We'll just get
Uh,
Brian on actually. Where does Brian live?
Brian lives in Richmond, which is about an hour and a half
Would
from
you
me, an
say
hour and a half south.
would you say Richmond is the real capital of the United States?
Yes. Yes.
That was very quick indeed. Now, Alice, you've been to Ireland many times and you've been interviewed on Irish media many times as well. Now,
Yes.
Virginia Women for Trump.
Hmm.
Now, when I was reading about that, it's a lot. The headline, I think, after reading about it, can be misleading because it's not just Virginia Women for Trump. There's a lot more to that organization than getting people out to vote, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. There's a philanthropic side. There's we have we have affiliates all over the nation. Um, when other women's groups, recognized and saw what I was doing, they want to do the same thing. And so I'm like 24/7. Yesterday I was on NBC4, and the day before I had Danish TV here. We had a debate watch, and it was lots of fun. So we were live on Danish TV, and I've been interviewed by TV media all over the world, and 3 times by Marion Finucane. And actually, I was interviewed by Marion, I think it was about a week before she died. So,
I remember that interview, not because, but I remember hearing a lot of that interview on a Saturday, it was,
yes.
the
Mhm.
morning. And that's when the name Virginia Women for Trump came in. But you do a lot of work with veterans as well.
Yes, yes, I do. We love our veterans, and so we're sort of here. And when we see a need, we respond to it.
Hmm.
And I'm also an Army Arlington lady, um, so I attend funerals at Arlington, representing the Army Chief of Staff, and
Yeah.
that was where I met the Flynn family, because when Liam, you know who Liam Flynn is, I assume, from Clean. Remember the helicopter that went down over Florida?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, well, I'm an Army Arlington lady, so the Marines actually don't have Arlington ladies. But when I heard that there was one Irish uh, young man, and I knew that the family would be coming to Arlington, and so I went over there and I met the family. And when I met Anne, his mother, and I said I'm from Tipperary, she just hugged me and held on to me, and we're like. They say now I should be Alice Butler-Short Flynn.
Yeah, you'll be
We're very
adding
close.
as you go along. Yes, you'll have
Yes,
added along
when
very
I go
close.
to Arlington, I always put flowers on Liam's resting place and send them a picture. I haven't been there for a while now because of this terrible COVID business.
OT is terrible altogether.
Yes, we're actually not even, the Army Arlington ladies are put on hold until all of this is over. And the funerals are much smaller.
Yes, I'm interested in finding out what um what was the thing that moved you to set up this organization, Virginia for Trump. That was when he was running for president, I presume, for the nomination in 2015.
Yes, yes.
What attracted you to Donald Trump?
Well, again, I have to bring everything back to the spiritual. And if anyone out there wants to blame me for that, that's because of my great spiritual upbringing in Ireland.
Yeah,
When we're Catholics, we get a really, really good grounding in our faith. And as we move through life, that can grow and expand and become more than just the rituals of doing this, going to mass, or et cetera, et cetera.
yes,
And, um, you know, uh, my age group, we were taught, I think before we could even speak, we were taught to pray.
yes,
And so through my life, I've prayed about everything. And I prayed about, after hearing him speak at CPAC in February 2015, I came home and I prayed about it because one has to be very careful with politics. Some people can get up there and make an amazing speech. And, I can point to Obama for that. The first speech that he made, even me, we were all wowed. We thought, wow, this man is something else. But a great speech does not a great president make.
no,
And
words can be pretty hollow at times. You're right.
yes, yes. So I felt when after I prayed, and then I meditate, and meditating for me is just listening for the word of God in my heart, and the words that came were, "He arose from the ashes of your despair," and I thought, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah,
But I realized, yes, after 8 years of Obama, we were in despair. We were in despair about where our country was going, not just economically, but morally, and with regard to our traditions, with regard to our constitution, with regard to our liberty. And we were, we were really in despair at the thought of 4 or 8 years of Hillary. So I took it from there, and I knew that he would. And then, of course, the started about Trump, about what a terrible man he was, and women and all of this. And I thought, he's going to need the support of women. So that's what gave me, I thought, the idea of starting a women's group for him. And I started just behind me here in my living room. I had 22 women, and it just exploded from there.
my goodness.
Yes.
And Alice, this is LiR Confidential, and my special guest is Alice Butler-Short, all the way from Virginia, USA. Now, some people, including myself, I include myself in this, it's hard for people, and sometimes you can be brushed over, the state of the economy, the state of society. As you pointed out, after 8 years of the Democratic presidency, and people, did you get a sense that they were looking for something? Might know exactly what it was in the run up to the 2016 election. And did you think as well? I know it's easy to look back in hindsight, But did you think that Hillary Clinton, had a chance of winning?
No, I knew from I knew from day one. I was absolutely convinced in my heart. And so that is why I was able to go out and speak across the Commonwealth and other places with that confidence, because I knew. And again, people will say, oh, she's probably crazy. No, Isaiah 45 gave me the confidence. Isaiah 45, when he was being battered, the thought came to me that, God never chose perfect people to do his greatest work. And so Isaiah 45 came to me, and I read it, the story of King Cyrus. And to paraphrase it, King Cyrus was an unbeliever. God called him. He answered. God blessed him. He anointed him. He gave him a title of honor, and he sent him into Babylon to free the Jews and the slaves. And I thought, that's it. He's our King Cyrus candidate. And I think it was maybe a week later that it hit me. Isaiah 45, he's going to be our 45th president. So that was it. Yeah. So that was it. And he is our 45th president. And you ask, were people looking for something different? They were looking for something not different. They were looking to preserve. This little book is our Constitution.
Yes.
They were looking to preserve that and our Declaration of Independence. And I made a little note from that. I haven't memorized it yet, but it explains in the Declaration of Independence, which you must read before you read the Constitution, the founders outlined their moral vision and the government it implied. It is not political will, but moral reasoning, accessible to all. That is the foundation of our political system. So our First Amendment prohibits any law prohibiting the free expression of speech, the freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, and the right to gather together peaceably. And, all of that has been infringed during COVID. But to back up to 2016, that's what people started to focus on, the Judeo-Christian principles on which this country was founded, and to hold on to that. The great President Reagan, whose great-grandfather was born in Ballyporeen,
yes,
about 10 miles from Cahir. I always tell that story.
Down the road, yeah.
Just down the road. He said, if we do not remain a nation under God, we are a nation gone under. And that is so true. And so for me, there never was a question as to which party I should belong to. My Catholic faith answered that for me. Do I want to be the party of godlessness, the party that wants us to be a secular government without God? Or do I want to be with the party who recognizes and honors the godly principles on which we were founded? So today, I think it should be an easy decision for anyone of any religion who believes in God. So you want to be with him or you want to be against him.
Right. Now, the organization we're referring to for our listeners is Virginia Women for Trump. Now, how diverse a group is that at this stage?
Oh my goodness. I had 3 objectives when I founded it. And one was to debunk the media myth that women did not like Trump, because that was false. And 2, to bring women of all ethnic backgrounds together, just as Americans. I'm not an Irish American, I'm an American, right? My roots are in Ireland, I'm very proud of it, I love Ireland. And the 3rd was to align our spirituality with our politics. Right. You cannot divide them. If you divide them, you're in confusion. How can you in believe in God and go against the principles, the godly principles that should be written in your heart and soul?
Absolutely. And as I said to you, do you cater for, I mean, if women of different religions were interested in participating in your group?
Everyone, open arms. I have, you name the nationality. I have it. We're all about unity. We're all about unity. One nation under God. That's everyone.
Well,
And
I'm on the same page as you, because the one of the many terms you see in these discussion programs on, particularly on American TV, I'm sure you're sick
yeah,
with this, African Americans, this Latinos. The
yeah,
way I look at it is they're all Americans.
exactly,
When you
exactly.
stop talking about color, you'll stop talking about racism. They're
Yes.
all Americans. It doesn't matter what color you are, in my book.
Look, it is the Democrats who play the racist card, time after time after time, right? And yesterday I was interviewed by NBC4. We
Yeah.
had a half an hour interview, and then of course they were editing and putting it together. And I was interviewed to give them an idea of how Catholics think about this election. And it's, oh my goodness, that was NBC4, which is left. I mean, they, out of half an hour, they took the most inconsequential answer to a question that
Yes.
I made, and that's all they put in there.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Nothing else. So that's how they manipulate the news. That's why we call them fake media. So I texted the guy later and I told him that. And he said, "Oh, I'm very sorry." I said, "If you were sorry, you would have, you would have used the information that
exactly.
I gave."
Yeah, there's no point in saying sorry when it's
Yeah,
already broadcast.
yeah.
Well, everything you say here will be in the show anyway. You can
Yeah.
be sure of
There's
that.
there's so much out there. If you think back to the very beginning, when the left was screaming, Trump hates Mexicans. He called them all rapists. No, he did not. Trump was talking about the invasion of illegal immigrants to this country. He said some of them are murderers, some of them are criminals, some of them are rapists, and some of them are good people. That's exactly the way it is. Some of them are coming over here desperate for a better life. Do you blame them? No.
No.
But we cannot open our borders. Ireland is a sovereign country. You're not going to say, "Oh, okay, everybody come." No. If they come to Ireland, they have to go through some process, I would assume.
They do. There's a legal process of entering
Exactly.
every country. Most countries have a I just couldn't fly over to New York tonight and get off and off I go. That's not the way it works in any civilized society, and you have laws and regulations and all of that. Now come forward to the night when the 2016, we were watching here as well, when the votes were coming, when the counts was happening between, I shouldn't be laughing really, when the counts was coming in, and I was watching CNN in particular for a particular reason, and I was jumping over to the other channels.
I know.
They were the very last, one of the last networks to call it,
Yeah,
because they were hoping that Clinton could win those 5 out of 6 states left. What
yeah.
were you? When did you realize that your man had it in the bag?
2015.
All right, okay, I'll give you that.
Well, that night we were getting ready to go down to the Trump Hotel. We thought it would be fun to be there,
Right.
and we were getting ready. And my husband says, "Well, it was Trump's to win, or Trump's to lose, whichever." I said, we don't fight, but I said, stop right there. He is going to win, and so as they were, I just knew that that was the way it was going to be at the end of the night. I never had a doubt for a moment.
And looking back and to now, to 2020, I think myself, and I'd be neutral in this, but nevertheless, once a person is elected to office of the president, particularly the president of the United States, then that's the end of it once the people have spoken. But for most of his term, it has been one constant battle on many, many issues, which to any other mortal would be very, very challenging and distracting. Where do you think that Donald Trump gets his strength from? Because I mean, I don't. I'm thinking to myself, if I woke up every morning to the same thing on the headlines about
Mhm.
some other story in Russia and all of this, you know, what does it resonate with yourself on the ground? You know,
Uh, yes, um, he gets his strength from the same place that I get it, and everyone else. He is able to stand against it because he is firmly grounded in his faith, and that is what people don't know about him. His mother came from, you know, his mother spoke Gaelic when she came to this country.
that's right, Scots
Yeah.
Gaelic.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
from the Hebrides.
Yes, she
Yeah,
was
that's
from the
it.
Hebrides. Yeah,
And they actually have more of an Irish accent there than a Scottish accent. And so he grew up going to church and going way back. The younger people watching won't remember, but Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking and
yeah.
Positive Prayer. That's what that's how he lived his life, and all of that has been pushed aside. So and if you listen to him when he speaks at rallies, I mean, he's wonderful. He's like a comedian. He can talk to anyone. He can relate to anyone. And he uh, watch and listen for the number of times that he mentions God, love, and light. And there you have it in a nutshell. That's what keeps him going. And no matter what is being thrown at him, like Nancy Pelosi, right this morning, I didn't get to watch it because I was coming on here, but she was having a briefing about the 25th Amendment. She's talking about how to remove a president from office. The left could never accept that he won. And they throw out there the popular vote, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, that is not our system. It's the electoral college. That's the way it was set up by the founding fathers, so
You're
that
right.
every state has a right, has something to say. And actually, that was one of the shocking things during COVID, because um, every governor has been able to control what happens in his or her state.
Yeah.
And in the states governed by Democrat governors, that's where the situations have been the worst. That's where the problems have been. That's where the burnings have been, the lootings, the pillaging, the murders, all in those states.
And we must mention, of course, before we get on to something else, that Donald Trump himself, on a personal level, never drank alcohol or smoked, you know, growing up. So he did. I mean, people have different opinions of his business. All business people, everybody in business, I don't care who you are, make mistakes all the time. That's the nature of the entrepreneurial spirit, if you like. Fall down and get yourself up, fall down and get yourself up again. Now,
Exactly, exactly.
looking forward to this debate. Did you catch the vice presidential debate the other night between
Oh,
Harris
I did.
and yeah,
Yeah,
Harris
between
and
Kamala and yeah, Harris and uh, um, and Pence.
yeah?
It was a beautiful thing to watch.
I shouldn't be laughing really. I have to stay neutral.
You're
I
supposed to
have to laugh.
be neutral. You're supposed to be
I
giving
know
tough questions.
it was just. I was absolutely. I didn't realize how bad she was. That's my opinion.
Yes,
Incredibly useless she is at debate.
yes,
What did
yes.
you think of it over there? What was the feeling around where you were? I know you were cheering after a few, but apart from that,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't drink either. I can I can have a great time on Diet Coke. But I had some friends here watching it, and we actually had Danish TV was here, and we were live on Danish TV.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, it was such fun. It was a lot of fun. So we just had a great time, and it really was. But seriously, it was a slam dunk for Pence because he killed her with facts. But like he said to her, you're entitled to your opinion, but not to your own facts.
That to
And
me was the standout. That was everybody reported that, even our media here in Ireland. You're entitled to your opinion, but not to your own facts.
yes,
It was like in the debate last year against Hillary Clinton when she said, "If you don't have the temperament to be president," and he said, "If I was president, you'd be in jail." Do you remember that line in one of the
right.
debates? It killed everything else is
Yeah, yeah.
insignificant.
You see, Trump is he's totally transparent. He could be in the pub with the guys, and or he can be with the head of state, and he can shift and be and communicate with anyone. That is a gift that he has. But instead of looking at it like that, what the left does, they are what we call the fake media. They take his words, they take everything, and they manipulate, they take a grain of truth and they totally twist it. I've had that happen to me too. And but you have to be prepared to take the knocks. And oh my gosh, after the Marion Finucane show, all those people in Ireland who called me stupid and ignorant and uninformed, and so we're it all
Well,
with the
I
badge of
mean,
honor.
we have our own issues. We have our own issues with the media in Ireland. We have our own issues as well as you do in America, what we call mainstream media.
Yes,
And
we call it
I think it's.
lamestream.
I don't think we have. Broadly speaking, we don't have good journalists anymore, good
No,
investigative journalists anymore in the media. I'm
no,
sure the same as in Europe. We have people who are give their opinions, who
yes.
are sound bites. That's what they live in, sound bites. When I
Yes,
can't watch,
and they're totally biased. And we do know it's a proven fact that last time I heard it was 85%. I think it might be 95% now of the media are left wing. So they're reporting what they want to, and they to influence perhaps the uninformed voter. And to go against that, I'm going to hold up something now. Can you see that?
I can't.
Yes. Well, Virginia Women for Trump, with some of our supporters, we got hundreds of thousands of these printed by a donor. They don't come from the Republican Party. They don't come from the official campaign, but they make it easy. And if you can read it from there, you see that these are the issues that we talked about down the middle.
I do. I see it all. Yeah.
Yes, and then you have Trump at one side and Biden at the on the other, and so this is what he's for or what he's against. So it makes it easy for people who don't want to delve into politics the way people
So
like I do.
I dare say part of the remit of your organization would be obviously to educate people
Yes.
politically as well, number one. Number two, be aware of who's running in your districts and what they stand
Mhm.
for and all of that. And also, what I was reading recently, there's millions and millions of Americans who are not registered to vote.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we do, and that we've been doing, at a fast pace this time. Is Virginia Women for Trump. We register people to vote, and a great place to do that have been at the gun shows. Out sometimes some of the stores will allow you to be outside, some won't. But we have had a great drive to do that, to register new people to vote. And then on the day of the election, it's to get the people out to vote. I think from now on, given what we've all gone through with COVID, there will be a much more attention to local elections, because even I used to think that the local mayor was somebody, with
Yeah.
a cloak and a big medal or something, and he was just honorific. No, the mayors have absolute control over the city. In Washington, D.C., now we have Mayor Marion Bowser. She still has the businesses shut down. You still cannot, even in the hotels, they can't have more than 50 people. It's crazy.
Well, you
And
should come to Ireland because it's worse.
really,
Yeah. But getting back to that, Alice, you said to me in a matter, are the gun shows still very popular?
the witch.
The gun shows.
Oh yeah, yeah, yes. Especially now. I mean,
Do you fire one yourself?
yes, I do. A
Are
nine
you good?
millimeter,
Are you a good shot?
a strawberry pink 9 millimeter. Yeah, if this was a terrorist, I get him right where you should.
You have, let me back up there a minute. I was in the army myself for a few years. A strawberry shot 9 millimeter.
Strawberry pink,
Pink. Oh,
strawberry
excuse me.
9 millimeter. Yeah, a
And
Luger.
you fire a rifle.
No, but one of the things I have done with Virginia Women for Trump too is to get women signed up for firearm training, because it's not just about going and learning how to shoot. You have to understand the laws. You have to and the guy who does the training for us is amazing. It's amazing. The first half of the day, you're handling shotguns and all different kinds of guns, not loaded, and learning so much. And then the second, in the afternoon, you go to the range, and you're taught how to shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
I know over here we don't have that type of situation. We don't have that constitution that enshrines you the right to carry arms. We know
Carry
that.
on. And that's what.
All the debates on guns, all the pros and cons, are both mainstream parties in America, both the Democrats and the Republicans, in favor of what will I say? Obviously, your right to bear arms under the Constitution, but in restricting somewhat people going out to buy these assault rifles. Are they banned in Virginia?
Again, the name assault rifles, that's a lot of it. I'm not saying some, a lot of it is garbage. I mean, I really need my husband here to tell you in detail about guns. But what he says, what are they talking about? They're not assault rifles. They're just this, that, or the other. But I'm not knowledgeable enough
Right.
to explain it fully to you. But nobody is going around with an assault rifle or whatever they.
Just,
But
just to finish with the gun thing,
yeah,
if I wanted to buy a gun now in, say, in the state of Virginia, and I'm
yeah.
living there, I'm a resident and all of that, and I toddle up to my local gun store and I pick out my gun, what process do I have to go through to let them know that I'm not a loony?
None that I know of. And I mean, there's no registration. How do you see? This is where we get into problems with the law. How do you determine who's a loony or not? Right?
Right.
I could go if there was this kind of law. I could go and say, well, I'm really afraid of my husband. I don't think he should have a gun. Right?
Right.
That truth, or is it a lie? Who knows? So, it really, guns are not the problem. It's people who are the problem. The gun doesn't shoot it off by itself. Somebody has to shoot.
Yeah.
That's right. And our Second Amendment right is very, very sacred, because look at the countries in the world where they took the guns from the people. What happened next? Look at Nazi Germany. If the Jews had guns, might be a different story, right?
Yeah. Well, my special guest is Alice Butler-Short, all the way from Tipperary to Virginia, on LiR Confidential on LiRmedia.tv. Now, coming along to the present situation, Alice, Um, how do you think the Donald Trump is doing it? And of course, he was in hospital for a few days, but how is he looking? Because we don't get to see much of him here this side of the pond, you know?
He is looking fantastic. And he came out of Walter Reed, what was it, after 2 or 3 days, went back to the White House and walked up the steps. So, of course, then the media said, oh my gosh, by the time he got the dump, he was that, no. And he walked up the steps and he took off his mask. And then the fake news was saying that he was out of breath. He was this, that, or the other. Well, I did my own little experiment, right? I was at the military hospital. That's where I get my medical. Day before yesterday for eye surgery, and I had to go to the second floor. And of course, in the hospital, you have to wear a mask. So I give in. I wear it in the hospital. And so I had to go to the second floor. I thought I'm going to walk up those 2 flights with this mask on and see how it does. Uh, so I got to the top of those 2 flights, and I was going, these masks, that's how they make you feel, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm very, very fit. I deadlift 85 pounds, which is not bad. Yes.
But geez, that's very good.
Yeah, I'll send you the video.
I wouldn't want to break into your house at night.
Pardon?
I wouldn't want to break into your house at night.
Well, I have to be on the alert, because when my husband takes his hearing aids out, and he's out for the count, and he has a gun, but by the time I would wake him up, I'd be dead as a doornail. So I could be ready myself.
The bang wouldn't make him up anyway. But so you think the mask is an inhibitor in your case? You do get out of breath, of course. Well, it's not a natural thing to do anyway.
Right, and you talk to people, everyone that I talk to, they say, my gosh, I can't breathe, I get headaches, it does this, it does that. And I say, why are you wearing it? Why are you wearing it? That mask is not going to save you or me. Common sense is what is going to fix this thing. It's not going away. It's going to be with us. And sooner or later, herd immunity is going to have to kick in.
I'm in the same page as you there.
Yes, yeah.
Common sense and herd immunity.
What went wrong at the beginning was the way the elderly were treated. And that's one of the things that Virginia Women for Trump is kind of helping on too, especially in New York. Cuomo, oh my gosh, Cuomo has a lot to answer for, because he took elderly people who had the disease and put them back in the nursing homes to infect the others. What's the end result? 40,000 elderly people in New York died. Well, right now, how long are we in this thing? 6 or 8 months? I've lost count.
Yes, and my own mum, she's 91. Last month she's in a nursing home, and I'm all too aware of the cruelty and inhumanity that senior people have been. And as you rightly pointed out, it's no different in Ireland. I can tell you that there's a scandal of monumental proportions here in this country that has just been spoken about as we're on air at the moment. And there's an inquiry to my mind is being set up, and that is something to do nothing, but it's a scandal. They cannot even see one member of their own family once a week in our nursing homes.
It almost brings me to tears. And it brings the Irish up in me and makes me angry. And this is why the grassroots movement is so important. It's we the people doing something about things. Look at these old people. All they had to look forward to, if anything, was maybe a once a week, once every 2 week visit from a family member and a hug. Now they have nothing.
And my mum, as I said, was 91. The only voice she really recognized was my brother Billy, who's was her carer before she went into the home, and her dog. The dog she never lost. She has severe dementia, but the dog is the only connection, if you like, with her and who she was. And it's just scanned. And she's in a room by herself, and we could easily be left in one person at a time.
And how many times do you think they come to that room to check on her? Maybe and they put the food in there, and if she's able to eat it, she eats it. Nobody feeds her. I am telling you, this is why when my sister was dying, now Clonmel Hospital is wonderful. Everyone who works there are absolutely wonderful, but
Yes.
they are overworked. Do you think they had time to be sitting in the room with Maureen? Do you think they had time to come in and check on her every half an hour? Of course not. Was she able to call them if she needed them? No. So if you have someone in a hospital, you have to have an advocate there with them. And my other two sisters were wonderful too. They came in and they have lives to live, and they were in and out all of the time. But I was able to be there, like just be there. So that was a blessing. But
As you said to yourself, your other two sisters, as you mentioned them, what do they think you and your crusade for Donald Trump?
Um, okay, Anna and Carmel. Uh, they're probably going, oh my God, I hope the neighbors don't see it. But I think Anna is coming around a little bit. And Father Pat, I'm going to totally out you.
Right, right.
He has always been with me, but I don't know what his parishioners think about it, but now he'll know.
Now, before we wind up the show, Alice,
And Tom, one more, my other brother, Tom in Tremor, totally against me, thinks it's not.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Are you telling me that if Tom was in America, he'd have voted for Hillary Clinton?
I guess so. I'm not too sure, but I don't get into discussions with him because arguing with people never gets you anywhere. So we agree to disagree, and I love him. He's the youngest.
Absolutely. He's a lot of life to live yet. But what
yes.
about this time around now with Joe Biden? What kind of a threat does he pose to Donald Trump? I know what you're going to say, but have you thought about it? I can't even be serious and I'm asking you the question.
He poses, if God forbid he got in, he would pose a huge threat to the country and to the people of the country and to the world. Wake up, people, wake up. Know what you're talking about, know what you're dealing with. Decide on what is the difference between a socialist going very fast toward communism, a man and a party that condones and supports, now I'm going to say it, Black Lives Matter. Now don't hold on, because the slogan Black Lives Matter is totally different. Of course they do. White lives matter, all lives matter, conceived lives matter. Think about that one. But the organization Black Lives Matter is a self-proclaimed, highly funded Marxist organization who have stated that they want to destroy our system. Now, go online and find out who funds them. Then find out where their funds go, and you will see the list of Democrats. So what did they say in Ireland? Put that in your pipe and smoke it?
Exactly, put that in your pipe and smoke. Well, I've done a bit. I'm well aware of the Black Lives Matter thing, and I think they're doing a disservice to all people of color in the United States of America. That's from where I'm sitting on this side of the pond, so to speak. And there isn't enough awareness built up around them or education and find out who they are, Some organizations are fine, but as you said, all lives matter, of course, we know that. Now, do you think that Donald Trump is on course to get a second term?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're expecting a landslide. But why is all of this stuff whirling around? Because the left is so scared and they don't want to accept the result of the election. They never accepted the result of the last election. They have spent the last 4 years trying to get him out, trying to destroy him, and they will do the same thing this time around.
But Alice, do you know something was bewildering for me as a watcher of politics? and trying to be a small bit neutral in this, the Democratic Party itself has a good history, has a proud history, by and large, as well as the Republican Party. And yet, when you see some of the leaders of the Democratic Party, it would lift your spirits a bit. They had some great leaders. Now, it's astonishing to me that they had nobody else to put forward this time around except Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. What is how do you from that side? What do you think of that when you saw it yourself, trying to be neutral about it?
It really puzzles me. They did have a number of others, in the primary, but there was absolutely nobody with any background or strong enough who could be president. But Biden, it's kind of like a sense of entitlement. And Biden is riding on the fact that he was VP for 8 years with Obama.
I
And
had
so,
forgotten that myself because
yes,
nobody remembers that.
no, but that's what he's doing. And, those who were pro-Obama are still pro-Obama. So it carries over to Biden. Now, everybody knows that this man, within 3 months, if he were elected, he's not going to be president. He cannot answer a question when he has press conferences. The left-wing reporters are given the questions, and he has the answers in front of him on a teleprompter or whatever. It's and this is why they really want this next debate to be virtual. That would be wonderful for him.
Up on Mars. But
Yes.
I thought one of the most impressive Democrats to me at looking in at their process was Tulsi Gabbard.
Just about to mention her.
I thought she was head and shoulders above anything that they had on the stage, irrespective of what you thought of her. And I thought if she ran against Donald Trump, I mean, she'd be fearless.
Well, she only got 1% of the vote or something in the Democrat primary, and she was asked to step aside, and she wouldn't. But let me tell you about Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is a great person. She's a really good friend of my son Brian in Richmond. Yeah, but he's like
to talk to her sometime.
Yeah, oh, I will. But he said he told her, "I'd never vote for you because you're a Democrat." But Tulsi's family are all Republicans, and maybe I'm outing her. In her heart, she is too. But in Hawaii, she could never win as a Republican.
Oh, I have you.
So I keep saying, we got to get Tulsi to cross the aisle. So
red to blue. Or blue to red.
Blue to red, because that's who she is. But she does have some. Well, she has some differences with President Trump, but she had to put something out there. She had to be against him if she's running against him, right?
I know that.
Yeah. So there may be some hope for Tulsi. We won't.
And you yourself, Alice, despite of being a Republican, you would admire her, of course. Yes. Not because she's a woman, but you'd admire her as a person and a politician.
Yes. She's a very nice person. She's a very good person. She's very knowledgeable. The Democrats are really silly not to be nurturing her. But she has a problem too. She'll go against them.
Donald Trump, before we finish, Donald Trump has probably through his family people who are advocating, he seemed to have brought extra stability to the Middle East.
Yes.
With the signing of these accords with Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates and Israel.
Yes. And, did the fake news talk much about it? Maybe they gave it or said it or criticized it, but no credit. All they did was tear him down. And
I have been in Israel, and I have a small understanding of that part of the world. And I thought it was a lot bigger than the media made it out to be to me, to have those countries and Israel publicly signing an accord like this is a huge step. And I saw today even that Jordan has signed an agreement with Israel to allow them fly freely into their airspace and all of that. So it's a huge.
Doing amazing things. He's doing, while all this is going on, he's doing amazing things across the world. He has, his doctors have freed him now to get back doing his work normally. This weekend, he's probably going to have a rally. He's probably going to be criticized for it and called a super spreader and God knows what. But he'll do what he has to do. And we will win. And do you remember in 2016 watching the TVs and they were all crying?
Yeah.
We will make them cry again.
I thought you were going to say, we'll make America great again. But Alice, it's been an absolute blast having you along, and we'll have to chat again. And
Yeah,
we will be doing a live broadcast on the night of the count, if you know what I mean.
Ah, okay.
We'll be on air throughout the whole, it'll be nighttime here all night. We're going to stay on till the bitter end. And
Yeah.
of course we'll be plugging into you with a bit of luck as well, you know.
Yeah, I'll remember that.
Anybody else you can rustle up for us, we'll speak to them no matter who they are. We don't mind.
Okay, that'll be great.
But Alice, from myself, Pat Barry here on LiRmedia.tv from LiR Confidential, I'd like to sincerely thank you again for taking time out of your day. Wish you and your family all the very best. And I can't wish any one candidate all the very best, but I do wish them both the very best.
We'll take that. I wish them both the very best too.
Yeah.